Picking up right where we left off, we have Arachnid and a tied up Mirage who's actually pretty calm about the situation. I mean, I understand him being tied up by a 600-foot alien robot spider lady would make me feel pretty enticing too. But anyway, that is besides the point. And Arachnid is actually kind of curious, and she asks him, "Why are you so calm in this situation?" Well, number one, you still need me alive. To which Arachnid says, "That can change very quick if you don't give me the information." To which Mirage pettily states, "Well, if you can't find the Harbinger on your own, what makes you think you would find it without my information?" To which Arachnid's like, "You're very good at this." To which Mirage simply states he was the Autobots stealth operator and assassins expert. But you know what the best thing about that was? And Arachnid gets intrigued and simply states, "Really? Tell me, what was so interesting about being a assassin for the Autobots, or even their stealth operator?" Into which Mirage simply states, "The gear," as his arms pretty much produce a sort of electric heat that manages to basically tear through the webbing, and then he uses it to shock Arachnid with them. Keep in mind, Mirage would definitely has a plethora of abilities, but this is because he kind of operates on stealth, assassination, very sneaky, and very wild card tactics. And that's what Mirage is. He's a wild card. He's on the Autobot side, thank God, but he is a wild card here. And he simply tells Arachnid, normally I would have killed you, but I have such a better idea." And he walks towards Arachnid with his hand shaped like a scalpel. And so we would then head over to the Harbinger, where Team Prime, or at least an alternate version of Team Prime, has arrived. This being Optimus, Sideswipe, Sunstreaker, RC, and Starscream the Cowardly Khan. So they're all pretty much at the Harbinger, because Starscream offered them the information and would simply have stated that they needed Decepticon's code in order to get in. So they would have brought him along, obviously under, intense supervision. And this is where Skyquake, or Makeshift, actually appears, along with Quake. So we have the Quake duo coming at the Autobots this time, and understanding that there is a powerful Decepticon relic at stake and whatever lies in the Harbinger. This is where Optimus pretty much states that they're going to need to split up, and this is where Sideswipe is like, "Hey, think what I'm thinking? Jet Judo? Jet Judo." And so he fastballs his brother once again into Skyquake, and obviously we all remember the glory days of G1 with Jet Judo. But considering Skyquake is the only flyer, only one of them needs to do it. And so, Sideswipe actually is the one to go for, Skyquake Makeshift over here, and just grabs him by his wings, right, and then begins to spin him around with his own weight. Meanwhile, Sunstreaker transforms and drives at Quake, dodging every single blast. Back in the air, Sideswipe manages to not only flip Skyquake on his belly, but manages to basically use his rifle and blasts him, causing him to transform and crash land pretty hard. And this is where RC is pretty much keeping her eye on the battle and away from Starscream, considering right now he really isn't a threat, at least to them at the moment. However, back with the fight, or back with Sunstreaker and Quake, Sunstreaker pulls a 2007 jazz move where he basically maneuvers Quake's cannon out of anyone's firing range, or out of his firing range, and pretty much proceeds to just disable him and disarm him. However, this is where RC feels a sharp pain in her side and doubles over. And this is where it's revealed that Starscream used a distraction to take the key and pretty much just released his arms and stuff like that. Sideswipe, seeing this, abandons the fight with Skyquake and simply rams into him. And this is where Starscream gives a vague and very telling comment: "You wouldn't be the first red Autobot I snuffed out on this planet." And Sideswipe and RC both look at each other and then look at Starscream, and their forms go from shock to rage, or their facial expressions, excuse me. And this is where Sideswipe simply states, "It was you." And Starscream brags about it, saying, "Indeed it was. I'm the one who snuffed Cliffjumper." And so we obviously know who gets the fighting strength back to blast Starscream. RC is the first one to do it, followed up by Sideswipe laying into Starscream with his own rifle. And Skyquake Makeshift is seeing this like, damn, wonder what he did to make them that mad. However, this is where Optimus arrives, and he's actually holding something, telling the Decepticons they have to stand down and retreat. He doesn't want to use this, and he's holding the immobilizer. Keep in mind, yes, he also did discover the protoforms, but right now the situation does demand that Optimus pretty much just, takes it. And keep in mind, at this point, Starscream is dead from all that firepower that was just laid on into him. Dude is like riddled with blaster shots from both of them. And this is where Quake simply states, "We need to leave. Megatron's gonna be pissed that we failed." And this is where Skyquake Makeshift simply states, "Actually, I have an idea." And so this is where they tell Optimus that they'll be leaving peacefully, where Skyquake transforms and flies at Starscream's corpse, picking it up and flying off with it. Meanwhile, Quake pretty much trails right behind them, and then, or eventually, jumps on and grapples, saying, "What are they going to use the corpse for?" "Don't worry, he has an idea. We won't be getting in trouble for this one." And so, this is where they fly back with Starscream's corpse, right? And well, I think it's pretty clear what they're going to do. But before I get into that, let's actually talk about how the scene ends. Starscream is dead, and Sideswipe pretty much walks next to our scene. He's like, You alright?" To which he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine, I guess. You?" "I don't know. Just feels like maybe we did the wrong thing, but at the same time, he deserved it." However, this is where Mirage actually arrives and says, "Hey guys, how you guys doing? I was actually nearby." And this is where Sunstreaker is like, "Dude, so you could have helped out this whole time?" To which Mirage is like, "Well, yes and no. I was taken this far, but I didn't realize that, Arachnid was at least that foolish enough to kind of keep me alive." And this is where he actually throws Arachnid off his shoulder, and she looks traumatized. As well, her appendages are missing, or at least her sharp parts of her appendages are missing, and, well, her webbing is no longer useful. And this is where RC simply states, "Well, since we're 2 for 2 today," and points her blasters at him. However, Mirage steps in front of him and was like, wait. You don't have to do that. And this is where they all kind of look at her, or at least Sideswipe and RC look at him like, why? And this is where he simply states, he neutered her. And this is where they look at him like, what the heck do you mean neutered her? And this is where Optimus is like, you took away her weapons? And Mirage's like, yeah, that's what I mean. Isn't that how they do it on Earth? To which Sideswipe is like, oh dear God, he did not just think that was a... You know what? Never mind. And this is where we go back to Decepticon Warship, or we would end off this episode on the Decepticon Warship, right? And this is where Skyquake Makeshift simply states, "We do apologize, Lord Megatron, for not being able to secure the immobilizer. However, it was not our fault." And this is where they toss the corpse of Starscream at Megatron's feet. And Megatron is like, the fault is not yours. It is Starscream's. And I actually do commend you for killing him. And keep in mind, Skyquake is taking full credit for this. Because the amount of shots that actually went through Starscream could and can actually match his Gatling gun. And to which Quake simply states, well, Lord Megatron, what should we do now? And to which Megatron is simply like, go on an Energon run, bring back me any supplies for right now. I'll be sure to summon you when I am ready. And this is where they both bow and simply leave, with Quake stating that that was very smart. Into which Skyquake Makeshift was like, well, I am a Decepticon after all. And they both kind of laugh at it. Meanwhile, Arachnid is in the Autobot base, fully disarmed and pretty much traumatized, especially with the way that Mirage kind of disarmed her, if you will. And she's kind of in that cell, and she's not going to get anywhere. She doesn't even have the motivation to move. And this is where RC simply states, you deserve worse than what you got, you monster. And that's where that episode would close out, right? But we now get into the episode TMI. And this one is actually going to set the groundwork for Sunstreaker more than Sideswipe. And just like in the original, the Autobots do go out to collect the data cylinder. And everyone's fighting. With Knockout, Breakdown, Makeshift Skyquake, Quake himself. All of them are there. With Optimus, Warpath, RC, Bulkhead, Bumblebee, Sideswipe, Mirage. They're doing their thing. And keep in mind, with Quake and Skyquake Makeshift there, and them being stronger Decepticons, they can at the very least balance out the numbers and the skill ratio with their sheer power alone. So basically, everything goes the same, but Miko, just like in the original, runs out the base and tries to go for the data cylinder like the absolute moron and idiot that she is. And Sunstreaker, out the corner of his optics, sees this, but he gets uppercutted by Quake, sending him skidding into the wall. And this is where he manages to regain himself and says, Miko, what are you doing? You should be at base. You should not be out here. And this is where Miko's like, I'm just trying to help here. And this is where, like in the original, it activates due to Miko's stupidity. And, well, Bulkhead pretty much takes the brunt of it once again, and the Decepticons leave with the pillar. Now, when everything calms down, Warpath runs over and says, Bulkhead, you okay? What happened? And this is where Sunstreaker goes over and then simply states, Miko didn't stay at base. I told you guys that these humans would be liabilities. Whatever's on that data cylinder is now with the Decepticons. Why did you leave base? She was like, I wanted to see you guys fight. I just wanted to see how cool you guys were. And this is where Sunstreaker states, you are not an Autobot. You are a human pest. And this is where the other Autobots kind of look at him like, oh, dang. Oh, Sunstreaker, dude, that's a bit harsh. And this is where Optimus simply tells him, that's enough. And this is where Sunstreaker says, absolutely not. This is one of her few times where she's proven to be the liability of the group. And this actually does get Miko to cry and stuff like that. And this is where Optimus simply states, that's enough. She is a part of this team and has been a helpful member. And this is where Sunstreaker states, helpful. She got caught during the Energon Harvester heist, and she ran out of base because she thought it was cool to see it, and then costed us whatever was on that data cylinder. You want to defend her, Prime? Then be my guest. And this is where Optimus simply states, Sunstreaker, I do think it is best that you return to base and we can talk about this further. But right now, you will not disrespect one of our allies. And this is where Sunstreaker simply states, you know what, Prime? Shove it. You want to defend these humans for their own actions without even reprimanding them? Then I don't see a point in being around here anymore. And this is where Sunstreaker pretty much climbs out of the area that they're in, transforms, and drives off. And this is where Sideswipe looks, and he's kind of torn a little bit. However, he does simply state something that really does need to be said. He's right. His brother is right. And yeah, he knows he's defending because that's his brother. But Miko has gotten herself into trouble more than she's actually helped. What use do they have, Prime? What use do these humans even bring to the table? To which Optimus says they are actually quite surprising when they are capable. And this is where Sideswipe says, right, when they're capable. But today, or again, she proved that she isn't, Prime. You need to think about who you ally yourself with. And this is where Sideswipe does the same thing and tells his brother to wait up as he transforms and drives off after him. And that's going to leave it off here, you guys. Please comment down below, like, and subscribe and share with your friends. And let me know what you guys think about this chapter. How do you guys feel about Sunstreaker calling out Miko for her behavior? And will this actually have her change in the long run? Find out in the next part.